Good morning, this is Ryan with Love the Work. This is Recording Process. Welcome, how's it going? We're going to talk about how we record and how we recorded songs in the past and looking forward to new recordings we're going to do. Make sure you give us a follow on Spotify. We got a lot of new music coming out in 2023. The Lo-Fi Tapes comes out March 10th. I'm super excited for that. Can't wait to share that with everybody. Hey There Darling, nice. This is a Matt song from, was it Past Days? Is either Past Days or coffee's bubbling. Past Days or Mother's Day album of demos. Dude, no way. It's not on Past Days? What? What kind of craziness is that? 2011. Dude, it's such a good song. Hey There Darling. Mother's Day album of demos. Dude, he didn't even put this out, I don't think. That's crazy. It's such a good song. So, pretty basic song in terms of recording. So I gotta fix my levels here. Check. Just acoustic and vocal. But let me grab my coffee and show you.
Water by the rocks, but it's nothing you could ever stop. And I know a girl who burns away, she burns away. Hey, punk rock girl, what's your worth in a world that hurts? Hey there, darling, I swear I liked you this morning.
Tune. I'm surprised he hasn't put that out, but it's one I do on the Oxford Hills Sound a lot. Big fave. I love singing Matt songs. I love how they're like they're simple in the sense that they're good pop songs. So it's like they're very fun to sing and perform. I love singing his tunes. Let's see what else we got here. There's a lot of tunes on here. I love this. Yeah, the way and the way. Walking on air. Fuck yeah. This is one when we were recording in the barn. I think at the tail end of the recording, we started to get into this song. We had like 6 or 7 songs we were doing, and it was in the very early days, like the first songs we were ever recording was in the barn and on a tape 8-track, and we did like some rock tunes with drums and everything. But Walking on Air was kind of I guess you could have put drums and bass for sure, but it was kind of an acoustic song with vocal and guitar, so we didn't we put it off till last. And as we were getting done, I think we started to record it. I think we recorded maybe just acoustic track for it, but I don't have I never got any Casey vocals. He wrote the song, and it was, it's my favorite song of Casey's and from the whole group. It just keeps moving along. It's like all major chords except for one. It has this great melody. The lyrics are amazing. Has this great melody that jumps around, does some nice jumps in it that I still struggle to sing this song. It's like the benchmark for me. It's like the Star Spangled Banner is like a benchmark for a singer. For me, the Walking on Air is my Star Spangled Banner. But I do have a recording from Tucker Street where Brad and I lived for a time, and he sang it, and it must have been him playing guitar. So those first recordings must have just got lost because I don't have them. When I moved to Texas, I did the worst thing. I fucking threw away all my tapes and all my notebooks. It's like, why? I look back, why would I do that? But I threw away all my tapes, all my notebooks. I don't know if I was trying to move forward or what with my life, but man, what a foolish thing to do. Luckily, some other people had tapes and some of them have survived, but what are you gonna do? So let me see. I'm pretty sure Brad sings this. I don't know if there's a harmony.
A better way to lift me up. The usual's been shot to fuck. Just wait a while, it comes around. And so you'll find that so do I. The ground's the funnest place to be. Leave me be, leave me be. A bloody smile and tattered knees. Been kicked down once or twice before. I'm at your door, awaiting company per se, to come with me for every day. Just go away, you always say. I'd be a mess if I had the time to run away, to run away, to run away. Apocalyptic glowing eyes burn me down and show my other side. You said you'd wait till I get back, and now I'm here, but where are you? I'll take my place back on the street, to lay beneath the treading feet, to soften steps for those who want me there. They say it's like walking on air, and so do I, so do I, so do I. If I needed a hand to find my way back home, all I'd need is the outside light on.
I wrote that last section. I never play it because to me Casey's version is like canon. It's like the way it was written. In mine, I like the part. I like it well enough, but but I don't play it. But I mean, I'm sure that was the tape 4-track that we had, or 8-track. I don't know if I still had my condenser mic at the time. I was first just turned 18, so I got a bunch of credit cards and was buying musical equipment out of a musician's friend. And so I had a Rode NT1 condenser mic. It looks like a U87. I had a couple Bolari tube. I had a tube preamp and I think 2 compressors. So I don't know if I had that rig at that time. I bet I didn't, actually, because that was closer to when I was on my way out of Maine. So that's probably just a 57. I didn't hear a lot of noise though, which makes me think maybe I did have the preamp, but yeah, just recording right into the tape. It's just a sound that's the only way you can get it. Lo-Fi Tapes, which is coming out March 10th, is a couple tunes I've recorded on tape. And it just has a sound that, and recording on little cassette tapes is different from me. You hear about people recording in the studio, they record on tape. They're recording on like 2-inch tape, 1-inch tape, which is big, and it has a lot more fidelity. When you're recording on a cassette tape, it's like this little dinky, not even a quarter of an inch. So the fidelity is not as good. You get a lot less of a full sound. But that's kind of part of the appeal as well. And I think I'm going to start recording more on tape or even using it as a last step, recording digital and pushing everything through tape. The thing that's hard about tape is that it runs at different speeds. So if I recorded 4 tracks on my tape recorder and I wanted to dump them into digital and start to mix with them, when I play the first one and then I play the second one, it might not play at the same speed, so they might not line up once I get them in the DAW. But if I use tape as my last step and I get my mix where I want it and everything, I can push it onto tape and then record that and get that sound. So my friend Bill, who I used to live with, he was a badass recording engineer, and that's something he would do but he would use the 2-inch tape. He would use the good tape. He's like, I record everything digital and then I push it through tape just to get that sound. But it just it cleans off the high end really nice, cleans off some of the low end and warms it up really nice. So super fun. If I needed hands, kill me. I did the Oxford Hills Sound. When I first started live streaming, that's what I did, was I would sing tunes. And I would pick them randomly. I had a deck of cards and would pick, I had a list. And so whatever card I would pick, I'd find the song on the list, and it gives that element of randomness, which I like. Then I found the spinner wheel. And so now I use that, but I would do it every Sunday. And then I started doing a jazz broadcast because I wanted to keep it quiet. I couldn't be singing in the house and my roommates are hearing. So I do a jazz broadcast where I just plug my guitar in and you can't hear anything. And then I was kind of coming up with ideas, and something gave me the idea to do more broadcasts per week, because I was doing 2 and it kind of felt like a lot, but I was like, what if I do 5? And shout out some ideas for broadcasts, and came up with talk shows, basically, where like what you're watching now, where I'm just talking about different elements of music. And it wound up, when I first started the idea, I was like, I'll do a bunch of talk shows, it's like, 'cause I'm a musician, I want to play music. But now that I've been rolling for 20 or 30 episodes, it's like, dude, I love this. I mean, I love talking about music. Sometimes I'm wearing out my throat because I'm talking so much, but it's like, it's something I guess I needed to be able to just talk endlessly about these tunes and my friends and the music and what we want to do, and the whole process. I mean, I love all the elements of music, the recording and the theory and songwriting and the emotional element and the psychological elements, and it's just something I could talk about endlessly. But it's great because as I talk about it, I wind up repeating myself a lot, which makes me look at things differently, because I don't want to just say the same thing over and over again day after day. That's boring. So it changes my mind and the way that I see things and the way that I understand music and the whole process. So super fun, rewarding process. I don't remember the point of where I was going with that, but Kill Me is coming out March 10th. It's on the Lo-Fi tapes. It's the third song on the tapes, and I'm gonna bust it out. This is Kill Me.
I just can't seem to get it right. Yes,
Mixed and mastered by Craig Long. Paradise.
everything. Well, I must have planted seeds of my destruction every night. Well, I'm just so tired of myself. The only one who is here and who's not laughing, who's not having any fun. Ooh yeah, come on and kill me, baby. Come on and do it right. Ooh yeah, put one right through me, baby, and numb my pain tonight. You know that if I had a gun, all of this would already.
Hella fun. So, fucking love how that sounds. Craig Long's the master. I'm so honored and grateful to be working with him. But recorded that on tape a few years ago. I did a handful of songs. I don't know why, but I bought a tape recorder off eBay. Kind of a throwback to where we had been. And it was before I had a preamp, so I had a 57. I probably had an RE20. I might have not had an RE20. Maybe I did, but regardless, there was a lot of noise because you got to crank the thing up to get it, and you get a lot of noise. I had my Guild at the time, but I had tape wound strings on it, and the trebles were nylon trebles, black trebles. So it had black tape wound basses and black nylon trebles, and it had this really dark, chunky sound with like no sustain whatsoever. I mean, in the first place, the guitar doesn't have a lot of sustain, but this was even just like quick notes, and was using that same element of randomness to pick my key of the song. So I sang that in a different key than I ever normally did, which was super fun. I say it's randomness, but it's not really random. In my mind, it's God picking the numbers. He's picking the songs, and whenever you're inviting that randomness, is in my mind, it's not really random. Random is not a helpful term for that, I don't think. But I only had 4 tracks to work with because it's a 4-track, and so I would do like a guitar and a voice, or 2 guitars and 2 voices, and then I was maxed out. And so I wound up with like Kill Me, Crown, Kiss First, which I'm putting on the Lo-Fi tapes, and only a handful of others. And then I mixed them down, and now I have the mix downs. I'm sure I still have the tapes, but I love how the mix downs came out so much. And I was kind of listening back to Pleasure Menu, which was a big collection of like 15, 16 songs that I recorded at that time. And these ones jumped out to me. They're the ones I did on tape, and they were very stripped down, but they were just like, they made me think of like Nirvana. They were just like straight ahead, grungy, kind of poppy tunes. And I was like, I got to put these out. And so, but I wanted bass and drums. So I went in, borrowed a studio from work, brought my drums, and did drum tracks. And I wanted to keep it super basic, no toms, not a lot of cymbals. I brought my old silent cymbals or quiet cymbals from Sabian. 2 mics, which was the basic technique that I used when I first got my drum kit. Except instead of the RE20 on the kick, I use a V-Kick from SE, which is such a good mic. SE microphones are so sick. But I used the V-Kick. But I wasn't getting any. I put it out in front of my bass drum. I wasn't getting any attack. And since I wasn't using overheads, the other mic I used was just a 609, like above the snare. So I wasn't getting any attack on the bass drum. So I moved it around like under the floor tom, pointing right at the bass drum. And I was like, there's the slap. I have black, what are they called? Not Onyx. They're the hydraulic heads from Evans. So I have that on my bass drum. So it's just this slappy, beautiful sound. And so just the 2 mics on drums, and then bass. I borrowed a bass from Work with P-Bass. I have a jazz bass, which I love. Love the sound of it and how it feels. It's an amazing, beautiful bass. But I knew for this group of songs I needed a P bass. It just has that mid-range. That's just the exact sound I need was a P bass, hands down. And so I grabbed one and I opened up the case and it had acoustic strings on it, of all things. And I'm like, what? It's just the most random thing you would ever see. But I went for it because I wanted to invite that shadow element into this whole project, but also because when I was in the barn in Maine years ago, I had a set of acoustic strings on my bass. For what reason? I don't know. I think somebody gave them to me and I wound up with them, and I couldn't afford bass strings because they were like $30. And I would have rather bought cigarettes or food at the time. And so they were on my bass. And so when I opened up that P bass and I saw those acoustic strings, I was like, this is totally a sign. So I took it home. I have the Strymon Iridium. My friend Tim Dove recommended to me at the same time when I was trying to like be quiet in the house and play guitar. And this is sick because it has a deluxe reverb, an AC30, and a Marshall with a couple cabs. So it's a modeler, but it's basic. It's not like a Kemper or a Fractal or Helix that has 1,000 options. It's like 3 amps. So I had tracked bass with it previously. I would do a couple guitar tracks, and when it came time to do the bass, instead of grabbing a new pedal and rerouting, I was like, I'll just run it through the Iridium. And with a little bit of room sound, I was loving the mid-range and the middle of the sound. I was like, wow, this is really cool for bass. I'm used to just a big, fat, bassy sound. I like a Sans amp, like an SVT type of sound, an Ampeg type of sound. But all of a sudden, I heard this just mid-rangey bass sound. I was like, oh, that's cool. So for this, I'm going to use the Iridium instead of the Sans amp. And so I'm home and I got my drums and I'm tracking bass. I'm like, yeah, this is sounding great. It's gnarly. It's fucking. Took the bass back and I'm mixing the next day and I was like, dude, there is no low end in this bass. I was like, fuck, what have I done? I mean, it just, you see it at like 200 hertz, 100 hertz, just slopes right up. There's no low end whatsoever. I'm like, fuck. So, I mean, I could have let the bass drum carry it, but I was like, no. So I was like, time to do some bass synth. So grab my bass synth. I've got the Micro Korg XL and the Korg Mini Log. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to like augment what I did on the bass guitar with my bass synth. And it turned into kind of the feel of the album, which is like the bass guitar is playing eighth notes. The guitar on the whole thing is all just eighth notes, chunk, 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 chunk. And so the bass just follows that, very basic. But the bass synth, I would do quarter notes. So instead of the chunk, chunk, it's like boom, 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 boom. Really accented that drum feel and everything. And I love how it came out on all the songs. In fact, it even changed the way I played the bass on Crown, on the chorus of Crown. You know, it was like, those eighth notes. So instead, it was like. Just give that big fat quarter note feel. And I was like, oh, that just changes the whole feel of the song. That's so fantastic. And yeah, that was it. Took those basic tracks, mixed them together, and got some demos, and sent them to Craig at Paradise, and he whipped them up. So nice. It's so funny because when I get the mixes back from Craig, you know, I'm always on high alert. I'm like, the snare's too bright, and the bass isn't doing what I want, and the guitars are weird. But it's like I learned when I was doing Jazz Odyssey, I have to just like calm down, remove myself, and sit with it for a minute, because in the end, I usually love what he did. It's just that it's so good that in my limited consciousness, when I first hear it, I can't handle it, and I rail against it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be cool with this one. I'm just gonna sit with it. I'm gonna chill, and almost all the notes I gave him, I wound up rescinding. The only one was that crown I thought was too bright, and the overall sound was too bright. I'm like, we want some darkness, because like I say, I recorded those songs on tape. There's so much noise, there's so much hiss, especially on Kiss First, which was a quiet song, that I'm like, we got to tame some of that high end. Matt heard it and he goes, sounds great, just neuter some of that hiss, neuter some of that high end. And so that was the overall sound. But you know, I asked him to change the snare, and then I had to change it back, and I asked him to change something else, and then I had to change it back. So I was like, I knew that he was going to do something that sounded amazing, and even though in that moment I couldn't hear it, I was like, I'm just going to trust. And so I'm so glad I did, because it made the process way easier. Instead of like going back and forth with him, too bright, too dark, too bright, too dark, more left, more right. I'm just like, I know it's going to be good, so leave it. And you know, the whole process only took a week and a half, and we were done. And I was like, fuck yes. You know, I've been learning about, what's it called? Sidechain compressing, where, you know, you sidechain the bass so that when the kick drum hits, it compresses the bass a little bit, so it allows the kick drum to come through, boom, and then the bass, whoop, comes back in to fill the void. It goes down and then comes back. Well, with a kick drum and a bass guitar and a bass synth, I thought that was going to be kind of complex. And I got something cool. I'll show you my mix that I thought was working. And I dig it, you know. But I knew that Craig would be able to just bash it out of the park. And of course he totally did. But I'll show you. So that's Kill Me by Craig. And then I'll show you what I did. So just so fat. Here's my mix.
Yes, I fought up everything.
Hear that guitar.
Hell, I must have planted seeds of my destruction.
I want to hear once the bass synth comes in.
Well, I'm just so tired of myself. The only one.
Give me the bass drum.
Who is here and who's not laughing? Who's not having
Here comes the synth.
any
Let's see what happens.
fun? Ooh yeah, come on and kill me, baby. Come on and do it right. Ooh yeah, put one right through me, baby.
Fucking love it. Love how it sounds. But then
Ooh yeah, come on and kill
can't fuck with that. Ah, so huge, so crunchy. Thank you, Craig. You're a beast. Lo-Fi Tapes, March 10th. Get ready. The end. This is that one I recorded. I talked about last show. I'm going to skip this one. I wonder what Craig could have did to this one. Oh, it would have sounded way different. The thing for me that it's tough to get the bass synth to carry because it's so low. It's hard to like hear it. You know what I mean? Like I want to hear the top edge of it and the mid and the kind of the body of it. But for me, I don't know how to do that yet. You know. But Craig knows how to do that. He's got the thing growling, and it's just so huge, and you know, you just can't touch that. Despise. This is one I've gotten, and it's just Brad singing on acoustic. I'm gonna skip this one. I know I've talked about it a bunch of times. Killer song. Crown. Fuck yeah. Oh, what the heck, let's go for it. So I'll show you my crown, and then I'll show you the one that Craig did. This is the one I told you where I changed the bass. It's the first song off the Lo-Fi Tapes. It's kind of the one that made me want to do it.
I am low, bitter trash. I am the lowest
chunky little guitar.
scum, giving only poor returns. A black hole of deception. Waste. Everything is mine. The world belongs to me. A shallow echo of my stupidity. Let me live. I like the taste, I like the feel, I like the look, I like the smell, I like the sound.
Alright, so that's my version. Believe it or not, this is going to be at the exact same dB, except it sounds way louder. This is Craig's.
I am low, bitter trash. I am the lowest scum, giving only poor returns. A black hole of deception.
It sounds so much louder.
Everything is mine. The world belongs to me. A shallow echo of my stupidity. Let me live. I like the taste. I like the feel. I like the look. I like the smell. I like the sound. I like the taste. I like the feel. I like the
So much more clarity. Crazy. Yeah, so that's Crown. I'm so pumped for everybody to hear that. See what people think. I like the feel. Fam, nice. Familiarity is one I recorded on this guitar originally, the Harmony, and Matt's like, that's too dark. It's hard to get a bright sound out of that guitar. I love the tone so much, but it is hard to get a bright sound, so I recorded it on Telly instead. But this one I thankfully started with the drums, recorded in my recorded in my garage over here. And Billy played bass on this. Matt played some like keys and some other guitars as well. And this is a fun one because it's just a progression. So the first repeat was like vocals, and then the second repeat is vocals, and then there's like 3 or 4 or 5 repeats that was just all guitar solos. Matt solos, I play keys, Matt goes again, Billy has a couple solos, I play more guitar, little guitar bits just going over the whole thing, and then in the end Matt cut and pasted some vocals so the background vocals come back in again. But it's just solo after solo, which is one of my favorite That's my love language, is guitar solos. And but came out pretty good. You know, I wish I could have done better on drums and everything, but overall, and vocals, I wish I could have done better on vocals, but overall, I mean, I must have sang this thing fucking 1,000 times. I must have sang it 100 times, maybe not 1,000, but I must have, you know, sang the song 100 times. Still makes me cringe. But what are you gonna do? Adam A. and mastered
Kick
this.
around old feeling,
But Matt's mix is just so good.
familiarity, a rare breed these days.
You know, I had Craig mix this record, not this one. Lo-Fi Tapes. Matt actually mixed this whole record himself.
Tension sealed it, language sealed
Really
it,
taking that bass for a while.
even from my own eyes. Too old for this now. You've got your gun and you're ready to use it.
It's clarity.
Not only I need, I'm ready to work. These empty hands are ready.
The way he gets all those elements to jump out.
And kick around old feelings. Familiarity, a rare breed these days. Returning to the well. Yes, you've got your gun, but are you ready to use it? You're too old for this now. Familiarity, it's a common goal these days. Returning to the well. Yes, you've got your gun, and now you're ready to use it. Not only I need, I'm ready, so ready. These empty hands are ready to be. Not only I need, I'm ready to work.
Man alive. I just texted Matt your mix on Familiarity. Crazy. You can hear everything. It's like, man. And it's so funny because I get caught up in like, oh, I don't like how I played the drums and I don't like how I sang the vocals. And it's funny how you can lose sight of like things like how all the clarity, how you can hear all the instruments and how they all work together. But what are you gonna do? C'est la vie. Brother. This is one I wrote in Maine on my mom's couch when I was visiting for the summer. And excuse me, I had to, write my song of the week, and I had my 7-string Les Paul and wanted to use the full range, and so it's one that uses that lower register and has a fun ass F something chord, maybe it's a type of augmented or something, but had these cool dark lyrics, and it's a very cool dark song. But when I recorded it, I was home and recorded here in this room, my deluxe reverb, and I double tracked the guitar. I had heard about it, I had read about it in an article, and I was like, oh, I gotta try that. And I love how it came out. Just 2 tracks, playing the same thing on the Les Paul. Love how it came out, because sometimes you strum a chord a little louder on one take than the other, so you hear it take over one ear, and then they come back together. So they're always kind of flowing and ebbing together, and I think just 1 track of vocal, because it's such a performance song. It's hard to it's not like a specific part. It's kind of a lot of emotion, but I think 1 track of vocals, cool, weird ass little solo that Matt does in the middle section. It's so cool with just his little tinkly keyboard sound, and then out, and that's off this same record, Love the Work, self-titled, but on side B, which is a lot more dark shit.
Brother, come aboard.
Matt caught that low end really well.
This ship of fools is sinking fast. To distant ports we sail today, beyond trouble, beyond pain. Come along. This American dream is going down. In distant depths we quest for gold. She comes to me when she wants pleasure.
I'm trying to think where that noise must have come from. If it was from the... Oh, it must have been my amp. It must have been my deluxe reverb. Or I wonder if I didn't have enough gain on the mics. But you hear that little bit of noise. I wonder if it was in the vocal. But fuck, super fun. Super fun. Mm-hmm. 11, track 11. This is another one of my favorite songs. It's one I discovered later because at one point, Matt goes, he goes, I have a whole CD of like Casey songs somewhere. And I was like, Matt, you have to dig that up. You have to send me that. He sent it to me. Found it on an old hard drive or something and sent it over, and it was like 16 songs. I was like, oh my God. I was in heaven. Still am. But 11, track 11, none of the songs have names. It was just 11, track 11, track 8, whatever. So, but track 11 was this song he wrote that was fucking, it's just pure Casey. Like, he just has this style. It's like alternative rock, but he has such a strong sense of melody. He loves like 50s music and 60s music and a lot of just like pop music, which I never went too far. I never got too much into it. But he takes that melodic sense and that harmonic sense and lyrical as well. I love the way he expresses himself with lyrics. He's has such a way with words. But this song, I said Walking in Air was my favorite song, but I was like, this one came right to the top of the list for me. It has these clever harmonic things that it does. Casey's the master of the 2-note chord. He uses power chords. And he's the master of dynamic between simple and complex. So Walking on Air, for example, is all major chords except for one. So just that one minor chord is enough to create interest as a whole. So this song, 11, track 11, is power chords except for one. And when you hear it, it's magic. And the second thing he does is he resolves it a different way. So this isn't really recording related, but fascinates me. Power chord. That third. And then resolves here. Now it resolves the other way. So it's just this little harmonic genius that's just so brilliant. I'm going to just play it for you because the melody is another thing that I don't have the breadth of consciousness to express, I don't think.
Educate me. I'm always thinking of myself. I'm always somewhere else. Don't just blame me. Hate me for something real and not just how I feel. It's not a joke, not some sleight of hand. I didn't expect you to understand.
good, man. I was just hearing that bass line and just like appreciating it and like, fucking hey. But I think Matt said he had like a semi-hollow guitar at one point, and I think that's what we're hearing. Except I think it's also plugged in. It sounds like it's also mic'd, but I think he recorded the vocals separately because I don't hear the guitar when he splits the vocal off in the other ear. I don't hear the guitar, so I think he recorded those vocals separately. But you can also hear he's like boom, 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 boom. There's just bass drum sound, very muffled, and I think he's just tapping on the microphone. Boom, 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 boom. You get a bass drum sound, especially if you do it really lightly. I don't know. I can't tell if it actually is a bass guitar because I don't think he had one, but it might have been a guitar. He's playing that bass part on. It sounds like a bass. I mean, that sounds like a bass. Of course, you hear the fucking water fountain. Sounds like a bass guitar. I text him and ask him. It sounds so much like a bass. I have to ask him. Dun, 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 dun. Fucking such a good song. So that's why I'm like, is this one my new favorite Casey song? Because it's so good, and it's a bit more. It's a bit more of a song than Walking on Air. So I don't know. I can't tell if it's my favorite, but it's definitely in the running. So Everyone's Around is a super joyous thing for me because this is one that Casey and I actually wrote together, and Brad might have written some of this too. And I know Matt contributed a chord at least at this one critical juncture. But one we had a lot of fun singing harmonies on. Casey could hit that high fucking. It was like a B all the way up here. On the harmony. Unfortunately, we don't have a good recording of it. That's one of the ones that I think I threw away in a fit of insanity in Texas. And but I recorded a version the same time I was recording those lo-fi tapes. I was recording a bit of an album called Pleasure Menu, and it was just all these songs that I had that I loved. You know, I don't know if I felt ready to record them, but I had to. I had to record these songs, and so I played this on my guitar. I pick a random key with the playing cards, like I said, and it wound up being in like the key of A or something really ridiculous. I had to tune my guitar way down. In fact, I doubled the guitar part a full octave apart. Because to begin with, the guitar was so low. I think it was like an A standard. It was so low. So, you know, when you capo it at the 5th fret, that's not really that high, you know. And recorded the whole thing, finger drums with my little machine. I'll show you. I love the zoom. I love the feel of the pads and the expressiveness of the pads. They might make, you know, like the what's it called? Those MPCs are probably miles better, but seems kind of too complex for me. I don't know. That's where I was. Regardless, finger drums, guitars, and I recorded the bass on a Rhodes sound on my P115. And I don't love how it came out, but it came out. Also, it has a fun intro. very weird, very Willis, where I tried to mimic Breyer's drums that he played on the original in the barn back in the day. Hear that Rhodes? Down. In the right ear.
Having the days been something else. You found it hard to be yourself. When everyone's around, blank faces, blank faces.
I might want to record this down a minor third from the original key.
Time to shoulder every day. Dreams of longer all the same. What's the change?
I'm just so grateful for all this music.
When everyone's around, blank faces, blank faces. It's what I've heard about before. There's nothing left beyond my door. So call it quits and fall asleep. Fall asleep. Having the days been something else. You found it hard to be yourself.
Fucking hell. I'm so grateful to have all this music that we wrote together. I'm listening to this now. I'm thinking how I'm going to record it. You know, I want to play it in whatever's below B flat, A, play it in A flat, and put it out on the next single, which is coming out. Let me look. I think it's April. April 21st. Oof. I'm Ryan with Love the Work. This is Recording Process. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day.